Welcome to the Sweet Song Podcast, where we unwrap your favorite songs. I'm your host, Kristi York Wooten, and on this week's episode, Haircut 100. You know and love them for songs like Fantastic Day and Love Plus One, and now they have a new album out, Boxing the Compass, along with a U.S. tour with Squeeze. This is a great comeback record for them, and I'm so happy to have Nick Heyward and Graham Jonesy from Haircut 100 with me to talk about the music and everything in between. Welcome to the Sweet Song Podcast. I'm your host, Kristi York Wooten. Thank you so much for being here, both of you.
Nice to be here too.
We have so many things to talk about. Your new album, Boxing the Compass, is out on May 29th, and it really is your first record with this lineup since your debut, since Pelican West in 1982. And on top of that, you are reestablishing yourselves as this sort of incredible touring act after so many decades. And you're literally everywhere. You just finished up some dates in the UK, and you're coming across America again with Squeeze. So this is fantastic. First of all, I want to say on a personal note, this is the greatest, one of the most satisfying comebacks. I don't want to call it a comeback. It's like a reappearance. I was trying to find the right word to describe it, but for me and a lot of other people. So we're going to talk about that trajectory and how we got here to 2026. In a few words, how has age changed your approach to what it means to be in Haircut 100? And not just from a physical standpoint, but kind of sort of where you are in your heads right now.
Do you want to go first, Jonesy?
I don't know. Yeah, it's. I think Les likes to sleep a lot more. we need more rest as band members. But other than that, I think the maturity of our age is kind of helping our delivery in some ways. It kind of gives us a better kind of way of speaking to people, as opposed to kind of just blurting what comes out of your head in a youthful kind of way. But that youthful expression has got its pluses as well. But you think twice, I think, more these days.
It's more enjoyable, isn't it? It's actually genuinely more enjoyable because you haven't got all the angst of being young and dealing with that. Now you can just appreciate being in Charleston in the morning, in the beautiful sunshine, popping to find somewhere to have a coffee, knowing that you've got to get back for the sound check at 4, and then you have a meet and greet, and then you get to play, and the whole day is going to be just. It's a bit like you just get the one day. That's I think why I like touring, which I didn't like when I was younger because it felt chaotic, but now it feels really orderly. It's like the day is already done. You just have to go through it. It's like being a mayfly. You know what your purpose is for the day. So in a sense, it is going to be like a fantastic day. No pun intended. You know what the day is going to be. It's even probably going to end with that song, and then you're going to go back to the hotel or onto the bus and just sleep, hopefully. But even if you don't worry about that so much now, because you know that you're not in charge of that. You'll sleep when you rest. If you catnap, you catnap. This is the whole thing. Because, when you get older, Graham, you don't struggle with sleep so much. And you sleep really well. But, a lot of people getting older find it difficult to sleep when the older they get. So worrying about it doesn't help. So I just like the fact that you just not worrying about sleeping has been a bit of a
I sleep all right. It's just keeping the others awake with my snoring. So they all have a terrible night. I have a great night.
Well, you talked about
I haven't heard you snore yet, Jonesy.
No, neither have I.
No, I just think it's a myth.
Yeah, it is a myth.
Yeah, and young people don't snore, right? Or at least you don't hear it. But talking about the youthful element, and that still comes out, especially during the live performances, though, doesn't it? That's where all your sort of mental and physical energy is channeled into bringing that out on stage and bringing it to life. Nick, maybe you and I have talked about it a little bit in the past, but I want to go back to the VH1 Bands Reunited moment, because for so many Haircut 100 fans, that was like this glimmer of hope that this music maybe at one point in the future could be presented the way it's being presented now. And to the people who've loved your songwriting all along, Can you go back to that time? I know it's for television and it was, dramatized or whatever, but can you go back to that time and even I can't even remember what the date of that show was, but when you
2004,
that's what I was thinking,
like that.
2004, 2005, something like that.
Yeah.
Could you have even imagined what 2026 would bring?
God, I wasn't thinking for 2026, were you, Jonesy? I
No,
mean, we
no, I
always
was
have
busy.
hope, don't we? You know, every time we got back together, we always thought, yeah. And I think that's the difference between now. We didn't have that hope because we'd had so many sort of attempted landings and it just hadn't worked. So we didn't want to get our hopes up with this one, but we didn't have a say in this one. But back then, it was all taken care of by the TV program, so we just had to kind of turn up, which was really easy, wasn't it? So
Mm.
getting back was really easy. Then it was the thing. Okay, staying together. Have you got management? Have you got organizations? You know, how is this going to work? And then you're just thrown in the deep end because if you haven't got those things, how's that going to work? And so we had all the enthusiasm for it. And as you could hear, because we know when we're on stage, regardless of any time that we've ever got back together, you know what it's like, Jonesy. When we get on stage, everything falls away and this thing happens. The songs, you plug into it and the joy of it. And whether you're knackered, uh, puking up backstage, which is what I was sometimes on the last tour with a food bug, some kind of thing, you get on that stage and it's just like something else takes over. So you haven't got a say in it. The music takes over.
I mean, we've still got that youthful mentality in all our minds, you know. So that thing we first started off with in those early days is still the common thread that is still connects all the music and everything we do. It's just that, like Nick was saying, the physicality and the logistics of uh, of organising any band is always a difficult part.
One of the things too, though, it's the spark, isn't it really? Because my theory is, when you have musical groups that come together and sort of either disband or go their separate ways for whatever reason and come back, there's something about a specific lineup of guys playing or women playing together that is something only they can provide. There's just a magic in the room, whether it's in the studio or on stage, that this combination, this chemistry is the only way to get to that spark. Do you agree with that? Do you feel that?
Yeah, it's the ingredients, the all important ingredients. Why some soups are brilliant and just one little ingredient away and it's not so good, and why one artwork works, why one song or one particle, it's so important. And then, yeah, I mean, you can chop and change, it seems, bands evolve and change members all the time and they evolve into something else. But I think with Haircut, because it was a real band. We spent a lot of time in rehearsal studios as kids, you know, wanting to be our heroes, going home, coming back, setting up, talking endlessly in pubs, enthusing about stuff, sharing our musical aspirations really. And what wasn't it, Jones? It was just like we were living and breathing being in a band. That was the being a
Oh
group
yeah, we
together.
would always
You were-
point. Yeah, we'd always go, "Oh God, did you hear that Damned single? Did you hear the XCC something or other?" And you
Hmm.
got all these little influences and these little things you all get excited about. But it's also in the musicianship as well, because we've got our different ways of playing because we're all self-taught. None of us are musically trained, so a lot of the stuff we play together is musical accidents. And the chords that I play over Nick's chords, they're all kind of technically wrong in some respects, but they kind of create the sonics that make Haircut 100. And a trained guitarist who would sit in my place, for instance, it wouldn't sound the same at all because we have these different inflections that we kind of creates this soundscape because which is only created by us members.
And
Yeah,
maybe part of the magic is also just the human element of it. This in this moment in time, having something that has a purity about it really stands out in the world of recording and in the world of performance. So I want to get to the songs on the record. When I was listening, it had all of sort of the classic Haircut 100 elements. There's your tropical pop genre, there's your serious groove genre, there's your like indelible, like 60s, 70s, like pop melodies that are just can't get them out of your head. And then there's some of those sort of gauzy moments too. But one of the things that stands out always and is not being done right now a lot is just the use of horns as an element of color and as an element to brighten any arrangement. So talk about the importance of horns in the history of Haircut 100 and Unboxing the Compass is just it's just like an extra ray of sunshine. I'm a huge horns fan, but I wanna know about when you guys were younger, did you have some pop songs that you heard, great horn arrangements on and that made you wanna have horns when you formed Haircut 100?
Yeah, well,
I
we
would say
first got
it
the
would be
horn,
your
didn't we?
sorry?
In when the Tropicanos, wasn't it, Jonesy? That
Yeah.
was that was that was the first, like, you know, we played somewhere and they played with us, and that was how the horn section started. It was Lascelles and Herschel Holder from the Tropicanos.
That's right, but you've always had a history of jazz, haven't you? With going back to your dad and going to watch jazz.
Yeah, I mean, aspirations for that, but God, yeah, but never for 1 minute ever thought that that would be I'd be in a band with horns. It was just like that wasn't in XTC or the Jam or I mean, it was a bit on the music that you grew up with, along with the Triangle. If You Leave Me Now by Chicago, the loudest triangle in the universe on the record, and then you get the horns, and so I remember always thinking, the ba 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 ba. Oh yeah, and hearing all those wonderful records, with horns, but you just thought, how on earth do you get them? How on earth do you? Where in Beckenham, who plays the horn? Where's brass sections? But it happened naturally, didn't it, Jonesy? We met Phil, and then we had a sax player. That was the first horn,
He was
and
sitting on
so
the studio steps,
yeah,
demo time.
yeah. So he played on "Look at Ruby," didn't he? A kind of song we had around um, that grew into the other song, "Whistle Down the Wind." But at this particular time, it was called "Look at Ruby," and instead of a chorus, Phil plays, and we just thought, wow. And then go forward many years to when the band took off and we're in America at the country club. It was at just the country club, wasn't it, in LA?
One gig.
Something like that. And then Phil's hero joined on stage, Ralph Ravenscroft from Baker Street, and all of ours as well. I mean, when punk was going, there was always the other music that was going on that was almost like the real soundtrack, because you had your youth culture. Like you wouldn't be saying, as a 16-year-old, I was not sort of saying, going to the pub in the evening and saying, "Have you heard Ralph Ravenscroft? On Baker Street. It's really, really, it's really good." I mean, it just wasn't like that, was it? It was like, "Have you heard Babylon's Burning by the Ruts?" And meanwhile, beside Babylon's Burning, you've got Boogie Wonderland going on, and you had all this other stuff, and disco was happening, wasn't it? When we were pogoing, Jonesy.
Yeah, all
But
goes
there you
in.
had Chic, and we were into that too. But I think that took a while for that to come out, didn't it?
Talk about some of the songs because I actually made a note. I said, must ask about their favorite Chic and Bowie songs at the time because those elements kind of seep in. You wouldn't say, "Oh, this is a disco record," but I can hear that 4/4. I can hear that little infectious groove going. I mean, Vanishing Point especially, um, to me sounds like that. So what were some of the things
I mean, it's always been more Talking Heads than Chic, isn't it? The scratchy guitars.
Mm.
Really. I mean, the funk is in there, but I think the scratchiness, for me, I kind of recognise the haircut sound as more Talking Heads than Chic.
Mm. I think the Chic came when we learned to play better,
Yeah.
simple as that. you know, we got a bit funky now. We got funkier as we got older. I mean, you should hear us now. It's a little bit like it's full on, isn't it, Josie? It's a little bit. I mean, it's a bit more like the bands that we thought that we put in. We were in awe of, back then. But then there's what you can actually play, like we used to have this song Blue Red, didn't we, Jonesy? Do you remember? It was more like it was kind of like Joseph K after too much caffeine,
Yeah.
And it was just like Pyrex or something. Blue red, and but alongside it, there was good times being played, and we were all, especially Les. He was really into his funk. He was actually into his like jazz funk. And he was that kind of thing. I mean, I was more into Earth, Wind and Fire through this guy at work in commercial art. He just played it endlessly all day. He taught me about Earth, Wind and Fire. I didn't really know too much about Earth, Wind and Fire. I mean, I'd heard bits and bobs, but he had every Earth, Wind and Fire record, and he would play it non-stop. And I think that's important when you're at work, what other people are listening to. Don't you think? It's like the music at work is really influential,
Yeah,
I
we had the
mean,
Bee Gees. We had the Bee Gees on the radio in the dark room where I used to live. We were allowed to have the radio in as long as it wasn't too loud. Yeah, and then all this stuff would be on the radio. So you'd have the Bee Gees and whatever else was going on at the time. So it all seeps in. It all seeps in.
but the thing is, the film's soundtrack stuff was like you were way ahead of the game on that, Jonesy. Do you remember? You like because Les and I used to sort of like think Jonesy's got a very weird musical taste because he used to like Enter the Dragon soundtrack. Kind of like he was into soundtrack music, and Vanishing Point is actually infinite. It's a raw soundtrack. It's just not even it wasn't developed. I didn't think it should be developed into sort of like the song structure because it's a mixture of haphazard stuff like in cinema and and soundtrack music and TV, because it was streets of San Francisco. You just got these bursts of music, and you got da-da-da-da-da-da, things flying at you, kind of thing. Drums flying at you, just really blatant lines coming at you. You've got a bit to grasp the viewer. Fred Quimby's name pops up, so you're always thinking Fred Quimby when you're thinking of this music. So when it was this inspiration of Vanishing Point, it was started there in that cinematic point, which was where Jonesy was back in 1978,
Yeah, that was
79.
Lalo Schifrin who did Bullet soundtrack and Enter the Dragon. So it was all kind of orchestral, funky, orchestral.
So now we're able to do that. We're able to go there. And now when we're on stage now and we're sounding like that and a bit like Tower of Power brass wise, and we're funking away. And so it just goes into Vanishing Point is our second song in the set. And suddenly you can see people just going like, oh, right, what is happening here? Just because it's, we can now, we're better musicians. Yeah, exactly.
American style wheel spin at the beginning.
Yeah.
You noticed that?
And the thing is with Blair, we can always do that. We can always, I felt like with Blair that we could always grow and evolve. We've got that. It's like we weren't restricted as a band because he's like solid. We can kind of flourish around him, but we always know that with Blair, it's just like, okay, he's going to just dig in, and he's got all that authenticity, all that experience from Arden Studios and Memphis and Stax. He genuinely has that in his conditioned past, which is, we have more like Grease, the soundtrack, and and punk. And
Speaking of Grease, I ran into Dee Dee Khan, who played in the movie Grease. She was in a restaurant in New York when I saw her. That was a
wow,
that was a fun blast from the
yeah,
past.
I bet.
Tell me about some of the songs on the record, though. What is your sweet song from the record where you think you got it just right? And I want each of you to probably have a different one. We'll see if you do or not.
Hmm, that's an
Where you got
interesting
it
one.
right.
Hmm.
There are a few because they're we've got the funk and we've got the rock, and we've got some that didn't make the album, which you'd be surprised by as well. We went a bit prog, didn't we? We
Yeah,
did we
Riverside.
yeah. There's loads of other things in there which are probably for the next album. Rain Cloud's quite a good that's quite a good complete song, which has got lots of elements in it which seem to please everybody. And when
Great riff at the beginning. That great riff kicks it off.
Yeah, I like how that happened. It was in about 2010. I think Oliver, my son, was not even, I don't know, 11, 12 or something. Might have been older. But we piled into Barry Barlow's studio in Shiplake to do some recording. And so that's the band and that time. And not much has changed from then. We haven't really, we put a little bit of brass on and a tambourine and the guitar, and that was it. It was kind of like done, not too much editing. Well, there was editing, it came back. It was one of the ones that just, you go back to what it was like pretty much straight out of 2010, because I felt like the band was really playing well then. Don't you think, Jonesy? Around about
Mm.
2010. And so that's captured that period. So that was really easy. It was a really easy recording. And the studio is vibey because it's like an old galleon right by the river. And Barry was in Jethro Tull, and a lot of Echo and Bunnyman stuff that we really liked growing up and when we were influenced by them in the early days. I think the advert for our drummer was, influences Echo and the Bunnymen and the Yardbirds. Don't know why the Yardbirds was said. I mean, just to not get to throw people off the scent. I don't know. It was strange. None of us were into the Yardbirds, were we, Jonesy?
Not actively, even though we
No.
do like the artwork.
No,
We
but
don't
we were
just like
really
them at all.
into Echo and the Bunnymen for sure.
Maybe you felt like you had to have a classic rock element to sort of give you that grounding in rock history or something. Maybe for your advert, you needed you needed
Yeah,
that.
yeah, maybe it was. But we got Pat Hunt and an Australian guy who didn't have any drumsticks, and that was the two guys that came along. And Pat joined the band, and he was our drummer because our drummer had left. Lovely Rob Stroud. So we were kind of adrift without a drummer for a long while, far too long, like a month.
Yeah. I okay, I know that I was excited last has it been last year? I said this online the other day. I said it's an embarrassment of riches to have Haircut 100 like touring like every year for the last 3 years. I just don't know what to do with myself. But
Yeah, that's how we feel.
and when you brought out when you had first pressed the single of Dynamite and brought it out and showed it to me, that was exciting. That kinda, like, sealed it. It's like, okay, it's a physical single that you can hold. And also, I mean, Unloved and Plum when that came out, but it felt it felt like a new beginning. It was like, okay, there's singles. There's a physical single you can hold. This is really happening. Is that the way you guys felt too? Like, this whole ship is not stopping. This train is not stopping. We're on it now.
Yeah, we're like you. We're just as excited. You hold that thing, and we look at it and go, and Nick was talking about the stripes kind of exploding on Dynamite. It's almost as if it's smashing through the paper bag. Like, here we are.
Yeah.
We're still here and we've still got this stuff to deliver.
Mm. Yeah, we're getting a second chance, and mainly because of Melvin Tubb, our manager. Up there in power pop heaven. He's the reason why we're continuing as well, because he really believed in the band and made that happen. That American tour happened because of him, didn't it, Jonesy? He was the reason why we were getting together and staying together. That's the key. And so we're staying together, and we're just like going, because there's no stopping, because we know what happened. We know that story. We know that one. We know what happens when you stop. It's just,
Yeah.
it's like when you stop, you just don't, you stop. That's it. so you just got to keep going. It's like you can't stop.
It's a bit like being
Keep getting
backstage.
up.
Some of us went out through the wrong door, and we've been wandering around the corridors trying to find the stage for like the
Yeah,
past few years, and then all popped out again onto the stage and went, "Oh, there you all are. Right,
yeah.
where were we?" And we're off.
It is too horrible having people saying, "So, do you ever see the guys?" Oh, that was like a haunting thing. That was a daily occurrence. I'd be in anywhere, and just you'd have that conversation, and it's like, don't have them now. It's great.
You've gone quiet.
I did mention the tour, the American tour with Squeeze, which is a really big deal, and Adamant, right? There's so many bills this summer, I can't keep it straight. It's like the entire, like, you know, Top of the Pops from 1982 to 1990 is on tour this summer, and it's really fun. But I wanted to talk about friendship and talk about maybe a song that you 2 shared, not just as an influence, but anything over the years that has been a staple that has brought any members of the band together. It could be something recent. I mean, I was really touched when Paul Weller, for his BBC thing, he did the Billie Eilish song, and I know you guys did a Harry Styles song, and that was just so fun and one of the best covers I've ever heard. I loved it. But is there any sort of song, it could be recent history or in the past, that has been part of the band's DNA that
Mm,
that you're
What
grateful
about
for?
what about Logan Time, the
yeah,
Associates? That was a big common denominator, I think.
yeah. That was a song we woke up to when we lived together in the one room. We'd all wake up and we'd have to put on Logan Time. I think getting back as well, we remember we were sending that live "Won't Get Fooled Again" by the Who to each other and going like, "Look at this performance, oh to be like that, oh to do that," and "Enjoy the Silence" by Depeche Mode.
Mm,
You sent that live performance that they did. And it was just
yeah.
it's just an amazing performance, Um, and then we used to hang out with them doing razzmatazz and early TV programs. And if you'd have said to us, those bickering guys over there from Billericay, we're going to stay together and rule the world with pop, we'd have never have said it. And it's like it's brilliant. I love seeing what's happened to them and how they've handled it and the stuff that they've been through. That they've just, you know, those songs. "Enjoy the Silence" it's such a massive, beautiful moment, isn't it? And you can see the connection when they play it live. It's just, you know, and they all work. They all work now. You can hear New Life, and you can hear Just Can't Get Enough alongside Enjoy the Silence just easily. It's all just. Who'd have thought that that would be stadium pop? And I love the fact that it is. It's made for a tiny little club, and it works in a massive stadium.
Yeah.
That's the power of just the music. I love it.
Yes, when they
Yeah.
do the live version in Cologne, and Dave Garn he's just doing one particular bit in the song, and he's just standing there looking at the audience, going. You can see he's just going, "My God, where am I?" It's
Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
just he's just there with them all in the moment.
And that's what we had in Glasgow the other night with the whole place singing Fantastic Day. And you're just letting them, it's up to, over to you guys, and everyone's there, joined together, knowing that it's like, you just got a day. That's what all you've got, and how precious they're getting as well. So just to celebrate them, because if you get told that that's it, you have pretty much a day. I mean, some people don't get told that they got another day or another 2 days or a week or anything. It just gets taken away in tragic circumstances. So, it just makes you more celebrate the moment. You don't know. None of us know. None of us know. So that's how sort of precious it is.
And that's a great way to kind of end the conversation because I was going to ask you each to say a word of how you're feeling now, what would describe it. For me, it's gratitude and joy because that's what the music brings. And I wanted to ask you both that because it is just this day, you know, and these songs.
Yeah, yeah. What's yours, Josie?
Well, it's kind of a fulfillment, I suppose. Um, I don't know. There's still more. There's still more to like to to fill our lives. But I mean, seeing the audience's reaction and their kind of contentment and their happiness. So I think contentment's a good one.
Mind you, you don't like to get right in there, though. I think you want to get into the audience. You know, I think you're going to have a pulley system. I think you're going to be flying soon. As Jones is getting nearer and nearer to the stage off the edge. So I think it's just going to be going like this. See that
The
Lewis
stages have
Leathers?
stopped me because I've been too high, but I've been getting off and getting into the audience.
Yeah. So you're going to get your wings, you know, like on the Lewis Leathers thing there.
Yeah.
Jones is going to get wings and he's going to fly off and take off into the audience. It's going to be
Some
like
more
the.
the dad's mug.
What's yours, Nick?
What was the question again?
Just a word that is describing today.
Word that describes today is today.
Because if each day is all we have today, that the word has to be
Yeah,
about
I
today.
mean, you know, it's great to have plans, and thankfully, I've learned how to use a calendar. It only took me 64 years to learn how to use one properly. But I've got there finally. But the more I've learned how to use a calendar, the more I've learned how to live presently. You know, and to not get so het up. I mean, even going on stage, it's got a cup of tea, right? Okay, now when we're on, and then just plug in and be in the moment and be on stage and do that. The rest just takes care of itself when you're in the present moment. When you're not, when you start to think about and narrate alongside yourself, it's an awful place to be. You're thinking about your mind's involved. It's like, don't let it be involved. If it's not involved, like it isn't involved now, I'm not thinking about anything. It's just like being a cup, pouring gently out rather than a gushing waterfall or something, or trying to be a body of water that's not you. You know, if you just go on stage and just, oh well, if it just see what happens. It's much, and that's what it's been like. I think it happened in Poole, didn't it? We just waltzed out on stage, um, and it was great, wasn't it? That was
Yeah.
a turning point.
We've got such a great team as well around
Yeah.
us. You know, keep making sure that the show just goes so we can just get out there and play it. It's there's nothing to worry about. You just look to the side of the stage, your guitar tech's there, he's just ready. It's all done. It's so the magic bit for us is just doing what we do without having to worry.
Yeah.
Peaceful.
Enjoy, well, like Josie's saying, enjoy the whole thing, all the stuff that goes on to build up to that. I mean, just standing outside in the venue when the sun's just coming through the clouds, just getting a bit of sunshine, standing outside with a cup of tea. That's just as good. Getting there is really good. Even if there's traffic, it's all part of life. It's not just about that 1 hour in the day. Like with anything, it's everything. It's the whole caboodle, everything, the whole stuff. I mean, I never used to enjoy going on tour buses, but now, how much fun was that? Even the bits that went wrong, Jonesy, on the American tour, breaking down in the middle of the desert, people getting stressed, all that stuff. It's all part of the rich tapestry of touring and life and stuff. It's so good, you know. Yeah, love it. Never thought. Did you think you'd enjoy it at this age? Actually going on tour like that?
Well, it's all these things are all. I'm a pretty open-minded bloke, so it's kind of it's always an adventure, and I think that's how things ought to be treated, really, as they are. They are adventures, and there are most of the time there are good things to be had. So that's what we're doing. We're just embracing all the good stuff that's coming our way and trying to not take it for granted.
That's
that moldy ham sandwich is good. It doesn't need to be
That's another
correct.
song title coming. Well, thank you both so much for joining me on the Sweet Song Podcast. Continued good luck with the album and the tour. I will see you on the road. The Sweet Song Podcast is hosted by Kristi York Wooten, that's me, and produced by Sustenance Group, LLC. Special thanks to this week's guest. Be sure to check out full episodes wherever you get your podcasts and subscribe and like on YouTube and Apple Podcasts. Visit Pure Pop for Now, people, for more information, and we'll see you next week.